you doing, guys? Today we are working on my 1955 senior steering box. Specifically what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do, and hopefully you're going to watch, is I need to make a spacer for between the body of the steering box and the cap. And the reason for that is, if you watched my prior video, I'm replacing the worm gear with a brand new worm gear. But the worm gear that I'm using was actually for a John Deere tractor, and it fits nearly perfectly into the raw steering box. The only thing is the bearings are spaced out a little bit further apart. So when you put the cap on, I got this space, and I need to take up that slack and set the preload correctly. So what I want to do is I'm going to go over to my friend's place to make the spacer. I took a couple quick measurements, and I whipped out some pieces of steel that I had, flat steel that I had hanging around in the garage in my junk bin. This one here is just about 15 thousandths thinner than this one right here. So I'm going to use this piece of steel as the bulk of the spacer. And when I put the cap on, just by fingers, but even with the bolts, this just barely fits into the space. So that's going to allow me to use these shims that I bought online for a raw steering box. Specifically, these are Jeep, early Jeep steering box shims, which go into the caps to set the preload. Obviously, I'm using it a little bit differently, but I'm going to use this shim as, or I got a whole bunch of them, but probably need maybe one or two of these shims with this piece of steel. I went and got out of my toolbox, I had a 1 3/4 inch hole saw. That hole saw is exactly the one we need for the, for the hole. What else did I get? I believe that's about it. So I'm going to use this piece of steel. Going to use these shims as the template. This hole saw to bore the hole. And then basically what I'm planning on doing is then once I bore the hole, the big hole in the center, then I'll take the shim, put it over it, mark where the 3 holes need to be, drill those, and then I'll put it in my buddy's bandsaw and lop off the bulk of the steel that I don't need, and then I'll shape it to fit. So when I get it all, hopefully by the end of the day, when we get it all back together, it should look nice and clean. All right, let me load all this poop into the car, and let's head over there. All right, we got the milling machine out. I got my piece of steel. I blew the box apart. I got the worm gears over there on the toolbox. I'm gonna go ahead and get the drill chuck for it, set it up, center a hole, and then we'll get the hole saw out and we'll bore the big hole first. I'll definitely have to lower the volume on this section. I did not think that was going to work out as good as it did, seeing that that's literally a 99-cent hole saw. So real quick with the end mill, I just chopped the edges down real quick. what I'm going to do, or what I've done, is I just took a Sharpie marker, put some ink around it like layout fluid. I'm going to go ahead, take the cap, line it up with the bolts. I'm going to scribe a line, and then I'm just going to file the edge down to the line, so that way it fits real nice and tight, or real nice and close to the cap itself. Shouldn't take too long. It's actually, this steel is actually not that hard. So let's do it. And there it is. I think it came out pretty darn good. Looks the part, fits to the cap really well. So there's going to be no overhang. You know, you'll see that little edge right there, but I don't think that's bad. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and set the steering box up. We'll break out the shims. We'll see how many shims it takes to set the preload. The best I can right now, just temporarily, and see how it all fits together. And there it is, all bolted together, snugged down. It did take 6 shims. Each shim is 10/1000ths of an inch. So we had to do about 60/1000ths of additional spacing with the steel spacer that I made. The bolts are snugged down tight, and with my fingertips, it spins super smooth and just about perfect. I would call it perfect. There's no play in the worm gear going up or down, so there's just enough there. So I am super stoked. This is gonna finish off real nice. And then once it's bolted to the frame in this position, this is all you're gonna see, because the engine's right, the transmission is right here. So you're not gonna see this side, and you're not gonna look up from the ground underneath it. So this is what you're gonna see, and I think that is perfectly acceptable. I do have to reclock the spacer because the cap itself is not like perfect. So in other words, it's casted a little thinner, you know, from here to here is a little smaller than from there to there. So I just got to reclock the spacer, and it will fit perfect with the cap. So it'll be just nice and smooth. I got 3 shims on the top, 3 shims on the bottom. So it makes it look nice and even. And again, that thing works great. Next up is to figure out the measurement of the steering shaft, basically from the worm gear to the bottom of the steering wheel. And that'll be for another video, because this is a lot already. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it shows that, you know, even though I may have used the milling machine to make this, I could have made this with a hacksaw, a file, and my drill press. The reason why I didn't use my drill press is because my chuck kind of goes like this a little bit as it spins, and with a hole saw, that was just no bueno. So that's the reason why I used the milling machine. But I could have made this with a hacksaw and a file. Files are my friend, as you know, on my channel. But with that, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. You really help me out a ton, and I really enjoy all comments. So please leave a comment below. Alrighty, until the next project, you have a great day.